What up, y'all? Welcome to episode 45 of the What's Up Cuzzo podcast with your two favorite cousins. We got your boy Marco in the building. And then we got the one and only
Yo,
Melly in
yo,
the building.
yo, what's poppin'?
Man, what's cracking? I'm chilling.
Yeah,
How you
man.
feel?
I feel tired, to be honest. But I'm
Man,
here.
yeah.
It's been a long week, long night, you know, getting things done, making things happen. It's part of the game. How you feeling?
Man, I feel good, man. So I feel tired in the middle of the week. I guess I got my second win, pimp. Like
Okay.
he's easy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm feeling good. Feeling great. Man, happy Halloween out there, man. It is for those who celebrate Halloween, man, it is Halloween night, you know. You got the goons and goblins out there. I mean, they out there anyway, but it'll be more out there. Some
Mm-hmm.
pretenders, you know. Be safe, you know, and have fun. Whatever it is you will be doing.
Right. No doubt
Man,
indeed. It's gonna be a lot of that out there tonight. So just keep your eyes and your ears open and be careful. Don't try to overdo it. Well, because it's the weekend, so people probably will overdo it. It's gonna be plenty of parties
absolutely.
tonight, tomorrow. So my message is don't try to overdo it. Don't try to overlive the moment. I should say. Just take it easy.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, man. So things have happened.
and always things will continue to happen every single day.
100%. So, uh, man, it's getting down to the wire. November 1st. Um, a lot is gonna change. Some people are not gonna get some benefits, the
Snap,
WIC
crackle,
snap,
pop.
all of that. Uh, some people aren't gonna get. Well, I heard some people aren't already getting paychecks, but a lot of the workers are gonna be, without a paycheck, and some of them actually still reporting to work. So, it's unfortunate. Excuse me.
That's crazy. That's called furloughed, I believe.
Well, I think furlough is a little different. I don't think furlough. Yeah, furlough. You don't do no work. They send you home, right? Let's see.
Yeah, let's look it up.
Um, Google. Uh, let's see. Furlough meaning. Let
Hmm.
Man, the homie is tired, man. He over there
Man, I'm
big
telling
on.
you.
Let's see. Furlough. Suspension or discharge of a worker or workers on account of economic conditions. Shortage of work, especially when temporary. Um. Yeah, that's a trash definition. I mean, it's cool, but it's
Vague.
suspend or discharge a worker. The company temporarily shuttered two plants and furloughed 8,100 workers. Leave of absence from a job. So grant leave of absence from a job. Being on furlough means an employee is temporarily granted an unpaid leave of absence. Okay, yeah. So they are not. So yeah, they're not. People that are furloughed aren't going to work.
Mm.
and they're not getting paid,
Mm-hmm.
and they won't probably get back paid either. I don't know.
Mm.
Um, so that's crazy. And desperate times sometimes resort to desperate measures, especially when it is associated with livelihood and necessities.
Right.
But yeah, that's one thing. Snap. Then we're actually going to kind of discuss uh, the way that Gil with Arenas kind of explained how he has his podcast set up, and how his agreement is with Underdog,
Mm-hmm.
along with the furloughs and benefits going away. We also have some companies doing major layoffs. Last episode, we talked about Amazon looking towards the future and implementing robots to basically so they would avoid having to hire potentially 600,000 people. Now we hear this week 30,000 people have been laid off. UPS, 15,000 or so, somewhere around there, have been laid off at UPS.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that might be it. I think that's all we have. So we'll go ahead and then should men sacrifice family for happiness? We'll talk about that as well. And if we could get to it, I know this is kind of old news, but Stephen A. was on Carmelo Anthony's podcast, and he talked about how he feels about LeBron James and that whole little incident. But anyway, what the heck? I didn't do that. Did you do
That
that?
was me. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's see here. Let's start off with Amazon. And here we go. Oh, let me take that off now.
In a notice sent to employees this morning, the company says 14,000 corporate jobs are being cut. The senior VP of People Experience and Technology goes on to say they will continue to keep hiring into next year.
KARA 7's Jake Chapman is live outside the Spheres in downtown Seattle. And Jake, you spoke with one of those employees that lost their job.
Let me go back. Let me go back to that. Let me see. So it says we expect to continue hiring in key strategic areas while also finding additional places we can remove layers, increase ownership, and realize efficiency gains. Interesting. Okay.
Hiring into next year.
KARA 7's Jake Chapman is live outside the Spheres in downtown Seattle. And Jake, you spoke with one of those employees that lost their job.
That's right, Ellen Monique, and she tells me she worked at the downtown office here in South Lake Union, and she says this was the first news she woke up to this morning. But come 90 days, her office space here will be empty.
It's one thing to hear about it,
and our team was talking about it.
It's another
I see the email that I was impacted by the layoffs.
to go through it.
I don't know what happens now. Just kind of in disbelief.
We spoke with this Amazon employee who we aren't naming or showing. She was one of the 14,000 company-wide layoffs at Amazon. And she tells me what stings the most about it. She just moved here 6 months ago for the job.
I'm the only one out here. Was just starting to form a community, but I don't know if I stay in Seattle or if I move to find another job.
But those who worked at Amazon aren't the only ones frustrated.
I really wish they'd stop doing this, because it is it's going up, oh, back down.
So are neighboring businesses outside the Amazon spheres.
But we have such a customer base here that it would be pretty hard to rebuild elsewhere.
We spoke with several employees off camera. A few claim that some impacted found out through news reports before the company said anything. So we reached out to Amazon if that was the case, but have not heard back. As those laid off search for new work. If you had a message for Amazon through this, what would it be?
I think they should really reevaluate and think long term of the impacts that these job losses have.
And so the big question now is, are there more layoffs to come, or was this it? We have asked Amazon for those answers, and we'll have that story for you in the next hour. Live in Seattle, Jake Chapman, KIRO 7 News.
Locked up.
UPS says it cut about 48,000 jobs this year alone as it continues its turnaround.
The company cut about 30.
All the stuff got planned at one time. Okay, so that was Amazon. I'm gonna just play UPS since they're kind of on the same topic.
UPS says it cut about 48,000 jobs this year alone as it continues its turnaround.
The company cut about 34,000 operational positions and closed daily operations at 93 leased and owned buildings in 2025. Another 14,000 cuts were made within management. UPS says its profit declined from a year ago, but it's holding up better than expected.
Chipmaker NVIDIA is continuing its massive AI push. The company just announced $1 billion investment in Nokia. The electronics company will use the money to boost development of software that can run on NVIDIA's architecture. Nokia will also use the money to improve supply networking to AI data centers. Nokia's stock after that surged 22%, while NVIDIA's rose 5%.
PayPal has signed a deal with OpenAI to have its digital wallet embedded in ChatGPT. Starting next year, PayPal buyers and sellers will be able to complete transactions through the AI tool. Partnership comes just as OpenAI has made several deals with Shopify, Etsy, and Walmart for users to buy items directly through ChatGPT.
And this is wild. Apple just hit the prestigious $4 trillion market cap. They are the third company to hit the milestone after NVIDIA and Microsoft. It follows strong sales of the new iPhone 17 and changes made while facing tariffs. The tech giant will report its earnings on Thursday, which could bring up their stock even more.
And Venmo is rolling out a new rent, mortgage, and retail payment feature. Users will be able to pay any rent, mortgage, or retail payments directly through the app starting next year. Users must be a
networking to AI data. NVIDIA is continuing its
management. UPS says its profit declined from a year ago, but it's holding up better than expected.
Okay, sorry about that. So what do you think is going on with all these layoffs, Cuzzo?
Yeah, it's unfortunate, of course. Systematically, it's being done.
Oh, my bad. There we go.
Yeah, systematically it's being done. To where they are, getting rid of workforce in certain sectors, and it just looks like it comes at one of the busiest times is the holiday season. The time where people get together. This is supposed to be a happy time of the year, and this is going to be a time to where a lot of people is going to be struggling. A lot of people are going to be without. A lot of people are not going to be able to do some of the things that they traditionally do. Around this time of year, whether that's good or bad, I can't really say. Yeah, it's just one of those things where you look at it and you kind of have to sit back and see, where it's going. You have an idea of what you think is going to happen, based on history. And you look at history, you say, okay, so where have these things happened before? You got the Great Depression, back to time where we weren't even alive. And you got the crash of 2008. There's many times and many different sectors to where things have happened, and then you kind of look back to see. So from that and out of that, you know, what did it change to, or what did society change to? Where did the system move? You know, all these things are happening because for many different reasons on many different levels. So we have to kind of piece it together, I say, you know, just looking from the outside in terms of, you know, what the system is doing, you know, with the layoffs. It can be because of AI. It can be because of we're moving to automation more. It could be because of businesses are changing over their strategy in terms of how they operate. So that can be contributed to AI, robotics. You know, there's a lot of different levels of information that you would have to look at, and then just kind of speak to that. So you would then go to the information like we just listened to. So, you know, that's my take on it thus far. What you got?
I think part of it is, you know, what, you know, we've been talking about, you know, as it relates to automation, you know, for a bit. You know, companies are, you know, their main goal is to, you know, make money. You know, their main goal is to make sure that, you know, profits are, you know, are more than, you know, debt, you know, the debt to ratio income, you know. Um, and so sometimes this is, you know, if they see an opportunity to transition from using, you know, from hiring people where, you know, like I said, you know, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but, you know, there's a lot of factors that come into it when you're hiring, you know, people. You know, humans get sick, humans, you know, get tired, they make mistakes. Um, you know, they call out sick. I think I said that already, but you know, they get pregnant and have kids and take maternity leave and, you know, paternity leave, and you know, they need benefits, you know, you need to make sure they have health care, vision, all of those things. And so, you know, it's kind of hard because there's a human side of it. You know, people need jobs. You know, people need to provide for their family. You know, like the one lady at the very beginning, um, she pretty much said that, you know, she moved out there from somewhere else for this job, and she's only been out there 6 months. So not really having a full opportunity to uh, create a lifestyle, because you know, I don't know what it looked like. I don't know what they paid her. I don't know if there was like moving costs and things like that, because some companies do that depending on, you know, where you are in the company, you know. But you know, somebody having to move to another state from somewhere else, you know, there's obviously moving costs. You have to take your room and board. Seattle is not a Seattle is high. I just put it like that. And you know, to be able to like have savings and, you know, all those things come into play, and to, you know, be laid off so quickly and not have an opportunity to get footing, could be a problem, you know. And but I know at the end of the day, the company, you know, automation is something that's gonna, you know, make those margins look how they want them to look, you know, more profit, you know, more productivity and things like that. And so it's just like the, you know, the nature of the beast, as they say. You know, it's like, you know, it's like things happen, things, you know, like this, you know, happen all the time. You know, so man, and you know, like I said, there's the other side. It's unfortunate, um, and we all get to take these opportunities to look and see, you know, how can we increase things? You know, like how can we increase our our worth? You know, back in the day, I'm talking about, the olden days, you know what I'm saying, where they, you know, and actually it happens today, but not here as much. But people have their fathers teach their sons usually a trade, and so when they may not be able to, and they use that for work, and you know, but now like people use that, people that still do it, they use it as like something they can fall back on or something they can add to, and that's something that we get to do as well. Like, you know, people are kind of doing it now, you know, but a lot of these different um, places are going to automation, so kind of tells you, hey, I need to look into that. Like, what does this automation thing look like? What can I learn about it? What direction should I go in? That'll make things um, work for me in the long term. So those are some of the things that, you know, that we need to be looking at probably from I know I kind of was long winded, but yeah, that's some of the things we kind of need to look at, you know, from a certain perspective. Let me see. Yeah. And then, you know, as it relates to UPS, you know, man, the group, the company that we spoke to initially, Amazon, like they are killing the game. You know what I mean? Like they're taking over a lot of things. Like what can't you get from Amazon nowadays? You know what I mean? You could buy cars from Amazon. You know, there's certain vehicles, but you could, you know, buy your car, have all the features you want set up, and then have it delivered to you. You know, so they're cornering the market in a lot of different places, and so these delivery, and they're doing their own delivery too in a lot of cases. And the stuff that they can do in house, they contract it out to, you know, people like a Uber or, you know, like Lyft type, you know, DoorDash type setup. So they're like killing the game, like they're taking over, you know, the delivery market too. So you're gonna see like companies like this suffer. You know, so what do they have to do? They have to do the same thing. They you know have to stay afloat. They have to you know cut staff. You know, so you can see profits on those sheets instead of you know all debt. Profits good, debt bad for the simple man. Yeah. Anything else, Colo? You got to share?
Yeah, that's pretty good. In terms of what you stated, profits is definitely something that is looked at over everything else. So if I can decrease the workforce and decrease my liability and then increase in my profits, there in turn lies, you know, what someone is going to do. So everything is like, okay, people are getting into the management state of, okay, if it's going to be AI, it's going to be robots, then I need to learn this skill now versus what we learned before. So just something to think about.
Absolutely. Um, let's see. What is this? I already talked about that. Actually, this is yeah. We'll jump to this. So, uh, Jay Will, White Chocolate, was on uh, Patrick Beverly's podcast, and they had an interesting discussion. You know, something that we talked about and that we talk about. Actually, I'm gonna save that one for. There we go. We'll do it that way. So yeah, and let's see what they have to say. Something near and dear to my heart. You know, they had a conversation about. Let's see.
But a lot of businesses operate at losses, though. No.
Yeah, but what do all the employees complain like they do?
Yeah, fucking Barstool fucking employees love to complain. Dude, everybody wants more money, bro.
They got to work harder, so.
Adam Silver recently said WNBA players will get a big increase in their salaries.
But big increase is a couple $100,000.
Right, if that.
Like when he use words like big, it doesn't. That don't instantly tell me a couple $1 million. It tells me.
So it's not enough to get new women in the game. You're saying
you made 100,000, you might get 300,000. That's a big increase, though. You know what I'm saying? So, but you're not a fan of WNBA.
I'm not.
You're a fan of it, Pat?
I am.
Like you can watch the game.
I can watch the game. Yeah.
Like you ain't really think that the Aces can beat the WNBA. I mean NBA team though.
I didn't. My
you was what color wine you was drinking?
Red.
Yeah, real red.
Yeah. I said they can beat players off the bench.
Pat.
Yes. Tell me somebody off the bench from.
I'm gonna tell
Trey
you something.
Johnson been hooping too.
He has been hooping.
Trey Johnson looks good.
Deeper than the bench from where? NBA?
Yeah.
No, deeper than that. 1994, DuPont High School in West Virginia would beat the WNBA All-Star team today.
Who's on the team?
Go Google it. I ain't gonna tell y'all.
No.
I'm gonna teach y'all like my kids.
No,
like, look, because if I tell y'all, y'all don't remember.
But I don't want to go against.
All right, I'm gonna tell you. I'm just gonna tell you one in my center. You ready?
Yeah.
Billy Gilmore. That my center.
Good old Billy.
Good old Billy. Yes, sir.
Good old Billy.
Yes, sir.
Big Bill.
How tall was he? How big was he?
About 6'4" with some orthotics.
So he's the same
With some
size.
orthotics, it's crazy.
Couldn't jump over a nickel.
Hey.
Look.
Oh, you were with Randy Moss.
Yeah.
No, you can't say that though. You can't say that thing. I knew that you were gonna say that. Randy, you love mentioning that team too. You love mentioning that
But
team.
I'm just saying.
Come on, man. You can't say that team.
All right, it's just a whole lot of other stuff, a lot of extra stuff, but yeah, that's pretty much what Jay Will had to say. For those that don't know, Patrick Beverly has stood on this. You know, he made a statement before about the WNBA and their players. Cuzzo, can you give us what you think about this whole controversy? Yeah, you're muted, sir.
Yeah, I said there's no controversy. There's only entertainment to have this conversation. I mean, we already know, and it's been proven, athletically, physiologically, men are better athletes. So professionally, that's good. Okay. But that still doesn't mean that you're going to be better than, someone at your level or someone even below your level in terms of age range or even skill. You could be skilled at something, but if you're not stronger than somebody, there's going to be a tough task at hand. So what, Jay Will was saying is true, because if you have a team full of athletes and your team is one of those highly touted teams from that era,
right?
I'm with him. You just think about some of your teams, because when you was playing at the Shaw, even some of those teams, Alistar Fox, Bean, come on, and it was hard to get on that team. So it's like, yeah, those teams can beat a WNBA team, All-Star for sure, because they were skilled, athletic, stronger. And that's simple to me.
Yeah. Oh man, my mind just went somewhere else, man.
Where did you go?
Well, I don't know if you saw this video. It was this guy in a gas station, and it was like two ladies, but one was like more masculine. And they had a whole back and forth conversation about, how you talking to me? You talking to me like you're a man and things like that. And one of the ladies put their hands on him, and then he, showed his, aggression towards the person. I mean, I don't know if I agree with it or not, but like, what saying do you want to use for it? equal lefts deserve equal rights, or equal rights deserve equal lefts, or you know what I'm saying? Like, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, whichever one you want to put. But that kind of made me think of that, and I've heard WNBA players actually say that they would beat a NBA player live on this platform, YouTube. It just shows more delusion, and I get it. Like, you're supposed to have confidence in your skill. You're supposed to have confidence in your ability. But there becomes a problem. I would say when your confidence or your ability turns into delusion, and that's where it's at, and that's where it's been. And I kind of wanted to address what he said. As far as like Adam Silver talking about a big increase. So you're fighting for an increase in your pay, along with other things. Maybe there's some other things that we don't necessarily know about. So if I made $100,000, if I got a $200,000 raise and I'm making 300, just say that happens, that's a substantial thing. That's like growth. And the belief there is that you guys are worth more than that, and that's to be you know talked about more, because kind of like Jay Will said, I can't watch the games. And he asked Pat Beverly, like, I mean, I may catch it every blue moon when I don't have anything to do. I may catch a game, but it's not something that I'm looking forward to watch. Like, not even like the best of the best, not even like the all stars. Like, it may, and I'm gonna just be honest, it may be like a Sky game on that I might watch. I'm gonna see how many rebounds that Angel Reese passes to herself. Or it may be Indiana Fever game on, or there's a couple games, or Las Vegas squad. Like, I may want to see Asia Wilson ball, but like, other than that, it's like it's not too many games that I want to watch. It's like the excitement is not there like it is in the NBA game. They are very skilled, but there's certain things, like you said, that they can do. A high school basketball team can beat a WNBA team. Like, guess what? All you got to do is, I know my boy played. Like, all you got to do is, man, throw a lob to them. Like, what they gonna do? Post them up, drop step. Guess what? All you can do is foul. And I mean, shout out to Pat Beverly, because he is obviously a fan. Obviously, he's supportive of them. But come on, Pat, like keep it 100. Like, who in the WNBA? Who are you trying to holler at? I don't know. I don't know if he's married or not. But who you trying to holler at? You trying to stay on the good side, of the WNBA, so you could be in good. Like, come on, Pat Beverly. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like blink, man, if you okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, do something. Like, let us know you okay, Pat. Because you over there, you caping for him, man, like real hard. And I'm glad Jay Will got on there and was like, hey, man, like, nah. Like, he was drinking that good, man. Like, he was, well, I say that Fenty, like, you had to be doing something. Because it's obvious that, like, to any person who has some sanity, that they aren't as good as, let alone an NBA team. Like, come on, like college, like, and even the high school squad. That's why, in all these sports, the goals and the requirements, run all, like, the achievements, they're set differently. Like in track, we talked about that before. The men can run a certain 100, but guess what? You could maybe put the worst guy, in track and field, and put him up against the best woman, and guess what? He gonna probably dust her. It just is what it is. Like we were made differently, and we both are great in our own right. And I'm not trying to take anything away from women. However, yeah, I don't believe it. I don't. Yeah, I don't believe it at all. And shout out to J Will White Chocolate for coming on here and giving us the real. That is all I have.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll speak to something you said earlier. I mean, skill versus the physiological part, just the athlete, from a male's perspective, it's like they might not be so precise, but if I'm a better athlete and my power and the quickness, is there, then yeah, automatic is going to be easier for this person and this person to gain the advantage or have the advantage. So skill wise, I can see how WNBA players, have that advantage, in some instances, but overall the advantage would be going towards the male side because the power, and the talent, would eventually overpower the individual, because I see some hoopers and some shooters online that post, and I'm like, oh, she got a good shot. But if a guy is really intensely, wanting to defend and not let you get a shot off, it's going to be, almost impossible. So, and I'm not saying it can't happen, but I'm just saying very rarely it will happen, from that standpoint. So, Pat, I think he just likes to talk and be controversial because he definitely has a good talk game, and he may very well feel the way that he feels, because he wants to be a supporter of that league, and which we all do, of course, but we have to, call things out as they are, not how we want them to be, because if it is what it is, then we don't have to have these conversations because it would just be there in terms of the example and not, what we think something is or what we believe something is. This is the example that we have. So we don't have to speak to it. It's just what it is. And, um, if we have to say something about the money side of it, if you're getting a couple extra 100,000, yeah, that's definitely a significant increase. That's double what you're getting, almost triple for some people, maybe 4 or 5 times what some other people are getting. And if that's not good enough, then I don't think you were being realistic in what you believe your value is in terms of what you're doing, which is entertaining. It feels something else to you because you are playing a sport and you're physically having to exert yourself. So yes, that's a value in itself. But if it's being used as entertainment, then that's on another level that people see it in terms of value, especially if it's not turning a profit. So yes, some businesses operate at a loss. Yeah, but they're in a different industry, or it's on a different level. Entertainment, I'm here to make money. How do I make money? Sponsorships. I make money off advertisement. We want to get eyeballs on what we have as a product, and we want people to enjoy the product. That's why they're going to keep coming back. But if I have to covertly come up with different tactics to get you to watch the game, which is through what we call controversy, or satire, talks and speech and what we're having in terms of this versus that, or this person is doing that, then yeah, how long is that going to last?
Right.
As we can see today, the NBA is where it is today because it's time for it to move on to the younger generation. They're still trying to hold on to that LeBron thing when that thing is over with.
Please let it go. I can't
Yeah,
wait.
that thing is over with. So that's my time.
Yeah, man. I had to. actually go here and look, man. I had to see if Pat was married or had a girlfriend because I thought maybe it's somebody in the WNBA that he liked, and I found out that he was engaged to his girlfriend right here. She actually comes back too. You know what I'm saying?
They all are because it's a look. Yeah, it's a look that they
Yeah,
all have going after basketball players. Yeah.
Iranian chick. But
Hmm.
yeah, let me see. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe what it is maybe that she likes the WNBA, and maybe he has to Kate, because she likes them. Maybe he want to stay in her good graces. I don't know. I don't know what it
Possibly.
is, but yeah.
Possibly. Yeah.
Anyway, man, let me know what y'all think. You know what I'm saying? Inside the comments. Like, is Pat smoking something? I don't know. Or, do y'all agree with him? Let us know. And on to the next one. Let's see. So, government shutdown. Um, I was going to talk about November 1st. Actually, today is pretty much the last day that, they could get things rolling. And there's a lot of things going around as to whose fault it is and who's not doing what. I did some research. So let's see. Let's see what the news has to say. Let me go ahead and share this. Um, there we go.
The nearly month-long shutdown has left close to 80,000 federal employees in state at risk. Food banks and pantries are now working against the clock before funding for SNAP benefits runs out. KOMO's Claire Weber live tonight in Bothell with both the impacts to local federal workers and hunger assistance groups. Claire?
Preston, more than 40 million Americans are now on the brink of possibly losing monthly food aid by this time next week, while local federal employees are seeing how far their savings can stretch as they go without pay.
So this is my pay stub for the last 2 weeks. As you can see, gross pay, $0.
Ooh.
All my other wages have been zero.
Federal workers across
Definitely
Western
gross.
Washington are seeing paychecks like this one.
Some of our members have been furloughed this entire time. They're staying home and not getting paid. Some of our employees or members have been accepted. They are working without pay.
Cook, a local union representative, says many members are turning to their credit card companies and landlords with a similar message.
I'm not getting paid right now. I will square up when I can, but if you can extend me a bit of grace in this period, that would make a world of difference to us.
Meanwhile, funding for SNAP benefits, which supports more than 900,000 Washingtonians, is on track to run out by November 1st.
The charitable hunger relief system is really the only thing left to help meet the need of people who are food insecure.
After the Trump administration cut nearly $187 billion in SNAP funding and millions in USDA food grants for Washington state.
Local food banks and pantries right now have already started to limit services and have already started to limit the amount of food that they're able to give out to people who come to them in need.
Food Lifeline sees the shutdown as a possible breaking point.
We need people to donate. We need people to volunteer.
Comparing it to the COVID pandemic with a few key differences.
Unlike the pandemic, this time there's no disease. Unlike the pandemic, this time the federal government, instead of coming to help, is running away and taking billions of dollars with it.
Food Lifeline has sent a letter to Governor Bob Ferguson today asking for emergency assistance as the shutdown continues. Similar calls have been made by Congress members to the USDA, but so far the agency has declined, blaming Democrats. Live in Bothell tonight, Claire Weber, KOMO News.
We're moving money around just to get by, going into our savings just to get by. There are people that probably don't have savings, that live check to check,
We're here in Queens at a food distribution.
So, Cuzzo. Yeah, so this is unfortunate that, it appears, I could be wrong, but it appears that the people that, well, actually, not just the people that pay for politicians, because some of them actually don't pay taxes, but you know, the American people, I'll say that, are being used as pawns, you know, to get people's agenda across. And I'll say this, I did do some research, and this is just what I found, and maybe I'm not, um, maybe I need to do some more digging, but I wanted to see, what was the argument about, like why was the government closed? What are the steps that we could take to get this resolved, and kind of who was holding things up? Because I don't want it to be like, oh, he believes in this, or he's a Republican, or oh no, he believes in them because he's a Democrat. I want to come from a middle point and be objective about the situation based on the information that I have. And so, what Democrats are proposing is to basically use the funds that the government has. It's like a few $1 billion set aside to actually, fund the SNAP benefits. But they don't want to come to the table to negotiate this clean CR. And basically what the clean CR is they're going to agree. Basically, is they want to agree to do what they need to do to give people their benefits, so the government can keep, and so the government can keep moving benefits, people get paid out, and then they set a date to negotiate the other issues that haven't been negotiated. And this is before the end of the year, so like sometime in November. So basically, it'll extend everything out until a date set in November, and then they'll address all the other issues that are, that are unresolved or unaddressed. And so the other side of it is the Democrats do not want to vote on this clean CR because they're trying to include, they want to include health care, so like Medicaid and all those benefits in it. They want to include, let me see, it's some other things. Let me see. Let me see. I'm gonna pull them up. Let me see.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you pull it up? Is it public knowledge for everybody to
I,
see?
it is. It would. I would have to pull it up on my laptop, but let me see. Let me see if I could join my laptop to the stream. Mm, oh, just give me a second while I'm doing that. What's up?
Oh, nothing.
Oh, okay. Oh, they making me do a extra type. Let's see.
Mhm.
226 156. All right. Yeah, it's gonna be an echo. Can you still hear that?
Mm-hmm.
You can hear still the echo?
No, now.
Okay. Okay, cool. So let me see if I could enlarge this also. Oh, nice. Oh, damn. I didn't do it that much. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Let me see if I could change that. No, that's worse. That might be better. Okay. So the current government shutdown is due to a stalemate between the Republicans and Democrats over terms of a continuing CR, the temporary fund bill required to reopen the government. So while the House has passed the bill, the key issue is a minority in the Senate is blocking it, which means the two sides are in a standoff over what should be attached to the funding measure. So the House passed the bill, which the House is the majority Republicans, but they need about five more. They need five people from the other side to approve that. And then so I kind of asked like, what is a clean CR, etc. So a short-term continuing resolution, that's what the CR stands for, that will fund the government at the current levels um, through a specific date in November, kind of what I said earlier. Republicans argue that the clean CR is a simple funding extension with no major new policies attached, and basically it will end the shutdown. Fastest way to end the shutdown. The Senate status has repeatedly blocked the Senate and the minority of Democrats who use the filibuster requiring a 60-day vote advance. So that's basically it takes 60 votes to pass this, and they, it can't be just, oh, okay, all the Republicans agree and they voted yes. We need some people from the other side of the aisle, as they call it, to to get this passed. So that's why it's being blocked. So, let me go back. The Democrat demands. So the Senate Democrats are using the power to block the House pass CR because they want to commute. They want to commit a commitment to address expiring health care subsidies and other concerns before they agree to reopen the government. And so these are some of the things listed here. The key policy demands for the Senate Democrat side: extension of affordable care. The most significant demand is to extend the enhanced premium tax credit for Affordable Care Act. Democrats are basically saying letting this expire will increase healthcare costs significantly. Limiting executive budget authorities, Democrats also seek provision that they will limit current administration ability to withhold or reconfigure funds that Congress had appropriated. So I know you guys heard about all these different things that the government has been using their funding for, like, uh, LBGTQ, events in all these different countries. That could fall into some of this funding. And then the third thing, specific funding for critical programs. There have been legislative attempts to pass rifle shot bills to individually fund critical programs like the SNAP or Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or provide immediate back pay for furlough workers. But Republican leadership generally oppose these single issue billing, insisting on the passage of the CR. So I'm going to let me see. So yeah, the standoff. The impasse is defined by the following position. Republicans insist on a clean CR, which will open the government immediately, arguing that any negotiation on policies disputes should happen after the government is funded. Democrats refuse to vote for the CR without a commitment or guarantee that their priority legislative issues, particularly the expiring healthcare subsidies, will be addressed. So there we go. That's what we have. So what do you think, Cuzzo?
Yeah, all that sounds good, but then we look at what's happening, and it seems like, you know, there's a lot of technical things happening, you know, that's preventing the proper functionality of once the government was created for. And it's been such in that way for some times. You know, we're starting to see videos pop up, you know, on the internet of people starting to wake up and kind of fight back against the narrative, you know, of what one side is telling them versus the other side. It is kind of it seems like, you know, the Democratic side is going against the grain all the way, and they're blaming it on some things that sound like reasons, but they're not really valid reasons per se. They're not valid to a level that you would shut down a government to where your own so-called citizens are not getting paid, so it puts them in a position of hardship. You're trying to provide for a whole new batch of people that, you know, maybe now and in the future you want to give an opportunity to have health care when they come in here illegally in emergency situations. You know, I was reading somewhere that that's where a majority of that money goes to. So if you don't have that, then you won't have a way to bring in those people illegally, and you can keep them healthy or take care of them, you know. So, and then also other money that you say that you need things for, that you can say it went to that, but then you can take it and do something else with, you know. So saying, hey, this money is for lip gloss for gay prostitutes in Cambodia, you know. What does that mean? You know, stuff like that. This money is for drag queen shows in, you know, Bolivia, you know. And I'm just calling out random places. I'm not saying this is what it's going for, but this is just some of the, you know, moronic things that we've been hearing and listening to. And it's like, are you guys serious? And then they always don't address it, but then they'll point the finger and say, you know, blah, 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 talking point, blah, 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 talking point. And people are tired of the rhetoric, you know, the rhetorical speech that leads to nothing other than chaos because it's confusion involved. You're saying one thing and then doing another, and then everyone is looking for this to happen, but you guys are not making it happen. So what's the stall tactic for? What is actually happening? And they're going to deny it because they can. We as the people are not in those rooms listening to the meetings. We should be. It should be on what they call it. Used to be CBS or KCETV or C-SPAN,
CNN, and all that stuff. Yeah.
Well, C-SPAN is the free one that, you know, they used to have some of these meetings on. You know, so yeah, put it on C-SPAN or put it on pay-per-view. Put it on CNN. Let us listen to what's happening, what's going on. Put it on live. Put it on Instagram Live.
I mean, they can put it on YouTube Live. And,
put it on YouTube Live and let the people weigh in. Like, hey, that ain't what we want to happen. Yeah, this is what we want to happen. We took a poll.
I think that'd be that'll open up another can of worms, because then we get to really see, you know, are you advocating for us, or are you, lying to us and have your own agenda?
Well, we already know that they are, but this just puts it
Well,
plain in
yeah,
front, to kind of see what's happening and what's going on, because we see the sound bites, and we see, the clips of them having, conversations and debates on why this is happening and what we need to do, and it's like, okay, guys, what are you really doing? Like, what is really happening? What you're saying sounds like this, but that's not really what's going on. You're not being honest. Because if you were being honest, then we would actually know everything that you guys are doing and know that's going on. But they don't want people to be intelligently understanding what politics is really all about. And it's not about
right.
the American people. Well, it is, but it's not about the way that we think,
It's about our money.
It's about controlling the money. It's about controlling the people that work for the money, because if you don't have the people working for the money, then who do you have to control? If you're working
Yeah.
for the American people, if you're working for your citizens, then why do we have what we have going on today? So that's just the way I look at it. And I don't claim to be intelligent. I don't claim to be the smartest guy, but I do pay attention at the level I feel like I understand things, and always seek to understand more and better based on the information that's available, not what someone is saying to me about the information, because you can get confused because they're going to tell you what they believe they want you to, what they believe they want us to hear, or for them to say and us to hear, is what I'm trying to say. So
So he's
that's my
saying,
deal.
you saying I told you what I wanted you to hear, man.
Yeah, listen, if I'm listening to you and I'm understanding at a certain level, then yeah, I'm like, wait a minute. No, you just
Yeah.
said that, man, to make me feel better. You didn't say that,
Nah,
man,
man, I ain't trying to do that, man.
you didn't say that because you was really, trying to make us move forward, man, amicably.
And you know what? Yeah, I did it. Nah, but and I'm the Paul, I'm the Pappy.
I'm the pappy, right? There you go. On up to
Yeah,
it. On up to it.
nah. No, but with all jokes aside, I wanted to, look at both sides of it, because I didn't just want to take the side that I believed in. So I wanted to see what each side was asking for, and who did I think, based on the information, sincerely, you know, um, wanted to get things resolved. And you could take what you want for it. I did use Gemini, and I did actually. I didn't type in like, okay, this is the side that I lean towards. Can you give me the information from this perspective? I could have did that, but I didn't. I just basically said this is what is happening. So the government is shut down, and I want information as to what the Republican side is asking for, what the Democratic side is asking for, what a clean CR is, because I heard that used and I didn't know what it was. But then also um, you know, what was each side basically asking for to get things moving. And based on what I saw in the way that I understood it is that, the like, I don't know. You can take it how you want to. Look it up for yourself. But I'll just say, from my perspective, this is our show, so I'm going to say how I want to say it. Nah, but um, I believe that, based on what I saw, is that yes, the Republicans do want to open it, get things started as soon as possible. When the Democrat side, it just appears that they want all or nothing. Like, if they can't get these things, that they want, then they're not gonna move. They're not gonna budge. But in my opinion, and I'll say that, is that is using your people as a pawn, you know, because you're trying to leverage. I mean, is that what these people really want? You know, like, does everybody agree that you should have health? We should have health care for every person that is in the United States, not just our citizens, but everybody. Like, does everybody on that side agree? I'm sure there's some people out there who are Democrats that don't agree with that,
It sounds like socialism.
and that's another topic.
Yeah, that
Because
sounds like socialism, and that moves you to another area. And I've heard like some rhetorical speech leaning towards that way, having these
right,
conversations, not only socialism but Marxism. You know,
absolutely.
and if people want, just go look it up to see what that entails. See where it comes from.
And there are people being put in positions that lean heavily that way. And I was
Right.
actually going to address that. And we are so caught, and that's another way they catch us up. They catch us up because we get distracted on the left side, right side, Republican, Democrat, and we don't really see. And I'll just say it because I was going to say it after this, but there are people in the party, in the Democratic Party, who are saying that the Democratic Party is not the same party that it used to be, because you have a left and you have a far, far left who believe in something totally, maybe not totally different, but there's a lot of views that are totally different, uh, from them, from what, the left believes in. Because and so these things that they're fighting for are trying to pull the Democratic side into that far left side, and people just don't see it because they see, okay, I'm a Democrat, and that's it. There's a lot of historical things, that we need to look at, how the Democratic Party was created, who was a part of the Democratic Party, and I'm talking about, like, pre, like 50 years ago, 75 years ago, 100 years ago, like go back then, well, maybe more 75 or 100 years ago, and go back and look and see, how they're established, who was part of the Republican Party, how were they established. Then you start to see, like, okay, if you want to, who aligns more with what I believe in, and then you get to start to narrow down, okay, and hopefully you come to understand, like, okay, what do I think, what do I want to see more of? There are certain things that I don't agree with one side than I do with the other, and sometimes it's the lesser of two evils, in some cases, but hopefully it's not always that way. But what I what I was going to say, furthermore about the shutdown, you know just in my opinion, like, being objective, it seems like that, the Republicans want to get things started back up, and then we could address it before the beginning of the year starts. We could go over these things. We could iron the other things out you want to talk about. But the other side is like, nah, we want you to agree that you're going to do these things as well, and so it's holding things up, and it could potentially affect some people, livelihood, and people, believe what they believe, but that's why we always say, to make sure that, you look into it yourself. Don't take, my word for it. Don't take Jamel's word for it. And I'm glad that we actually pulled up the information, because then that way you can look at it and see that we're not just talking, from, shooting from our head. And then some of it will be opinion, but when stuff is fact, then we want to make sure that, that we have the facts available, so that you can take a look at the facts and not just take our opinion for it. But either side, man, like, I don't like the fact that they're doing that and they're still getting paid. They're, the people that are not coming to work, the people who are not coming to get this resolved, they're still getting funded. They haven't been furloughed. Their check hasn't been cut. I don't think it's fair, and the people are the ones who are paying for it. Not only are they paying for it actually, because the government funds, again, come from the hardworking backs of the American people. And, it seems like it's the other way around. Like they're the ones that are paying us. They're taking for us. Uncle Sam, he comes every April. You got to make sure you reach out to him and give him his cut. He has his hand out. Let me put up my because I'm doing it right now. I can feel it coming on. I can feel the rant coming on. He has his hand out and he wants his pay. And guess what? If you don't, he's gonna make sure somehow that you break him off. And guess what? When you get an increase, guess what? He gonna want an increase too. He gonna come to you and say, "When are you upping my pay?" And so that money is used to fund a lot of different things, including to pay the officials that are supposed to be advocating for us. They're supposed to be looking out for us to be addressing the issues and problems that we have and the things that we want to see changed. And they're not, so they shouldn't get paid because they're not doing their job. If I wasn't doing my job and handling the stuff I need to handle, guess what? They'd be like, Marco, you gotta go. And no, we not upping your pay. But anyway, man, that's enough of my ranting. We're gonna go to the actually second to last topic. We got two things I want to kind of address this real quick. We had Gilbert Arenas. So Gilbert Arenas is let me see. They're basically his podcast, Gil's Arena, is being funded, I guess, he's a 50-50 split with Underdog Fantasy. And so the dynamic of the channel, I don't know if you guys watch the show out there, but the dynamics of the show has changed. And he basically has a football portion of the show on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. And then on Wednesdays and Thursdays, he has like the guys on, the basketball guys, the guys that like I'm used to watching. And but just take a look at it and see kind of like what he has to say. I don't want to give you like the full rundown. I want you to actually hear it for yourself. Come on, Marco. You're slowing your game today.
Yes. Okay. So that part, all right. So I got clarification on that. And then the other part, the other question that I just had.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 40.
I had a concept, and then this channel where I had about like webcam, StreamYard. These are facts. So I don't want to car salesman, YouTube. So I said, you guys, he told me basically, fuck off. So because my main channel was gone, I came up with a concept of battle. It was, what the fuck was it? Battle, hold on, let me turn this off. Hold on. Let me quit. Man, the anti ain't come up here to hear you tell No. So he can understand. Okay, all right. So the channel that I had, I'm beefing with Kwame, was a small channel. So I came to him because I had this channel that I wasn't using. Let's start a show together. It was a roast league. He told me basically, fuck off. I said, well, I got a roast league, I got a poker, and then I got a basketball concept that we can use. Instead of going to Showtime, we can use this YouTube channel that I don't use. And said, hey, instead of going to Showtime, I got a platform we can use. We can go 50-50 partners. So I said, you guys build it. We have a channel that already has people on it because I needed infrastructure. I didn't know nothing about YouTube. So I said, you guys can build the infrastructure. We can split the concept 50-50. What do you mean by infrastructure? I don't understand that. I didn't have no infrastructure.
I did 70,000 in the chat from my iPhone 8.
Nigga, you don't have a show, Kwame. You have that's your show. You're a used car salesman, whatever that is. That's not a show. Okay, so we don't need you to talk right now. So I didn't have no infrastructure, meaning I only had.
Either way it go, I still had 70,000 people in my chat
Cool.
on iPhone 8 though. Regardless of really your personal opinion.
And what do you have?
I had
What do you have
70,000
now?
people in my chat with an iPhone 8.
And what do you have? What is the substance of your?
You went on Vlad TV and you upset that I did 70,000. If you need infrastructure, if a motherfucker can do 70,000 from an iPhone 8.
It's weird how you want me up here, but for some reason I didn't have
There
no
we go.
cameras. I didn't know nothing about lighting. All I knew was a cell phone. I didn't know nothing about like webcam, StreamYard. I had to learn all of that because I only came to YouTube because I was beefing with him. So when I came up with the show idea of like ESPN style, because I'm learning as I go. So I had this channel. I know Matt Barnes. They got all the smoke, right? But they're on Showtime, so they have infrastructure. I got the Knuckleheads. They have what was it? Players Tribune. They have infrastructure. So I didn't have nothing. I just had a concept, and then this channel where I had like 1,000 people on it. So I made the deal with them instead of going with a platform. So instead of going with a platform and you're paying me $2,000 an episode, I made a deal with the sponsor themselves because I would have been on Showtime, and then Showtime would have had Underdog as the sponsor. So I cut the middleman out and said,
Can I ask you a question?
Mhm.
Can I stop you in between just to ask you a couple questions?
Yes.
When you say you needed the infrastructure, was the show already pitched? Because some people are saying that the show was pitched to Showtime or something like that.
Mhm.
I mean, you just cut out the middleman.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. So that part, all right, so I got clarification on that. And then the other part, the other question that I have is, did you think that the show would be as big as it's going to be? And that's one of the reasons why you gave up equity into it.
All right, so I'll stop it right there. And so I'll kind of jump in because I mean I watch both. I watch Underdog. I'm sorry, Gil's Arena, and so Gil's Arena, was kind of like you said, a sit down style show. They talked about basketball. I mean, they did talk about other sports as well periodically, but they developed a following based on the people that they had on there, based on them talking about basketball and their experiences, and like talking about strategy and things like that, and how like you said, ESPN style. They go over the games that were played, and they talk about what could have happened, who did what, and things like that. But also, I think, hold on, we got a comment right here. Missed that. What's good, bros? Chiming in on your live, Mr. Streets. Okay, we appreciate you, Mr. Streets. We not used to comments, man, so I missed it. Yes, sir. But yeah, so I watched the show, and I was used to, them, the way the thing was set up. So anyway, just so I can move a little faster. So basically, what happened is, during the summer they took a break, and when they came back, it changed from Gil's Arena to the Arena, and then they added this football concept to it with Skip. Is it Talib? I think that's the cornerback's name. He used to play for the Broncos. Then they had like Ignacio on there from the Raiders line. He former Raider, and I forgot the other guy's name, but he's a lineman. And Gil will kind of be on there every now and then. And so this show will be on Monday, Tuesday, and Fridays. And then there was no other show until like the basketball season started back. And then when the basketball season started back, now the show with Kenyon and Rashad McCants, Brandon, etc., is only on Wednesday and Thursdays. And so I'm just like confused, like what happened, to the show, and why did they change up the setup, And then Gil kind of gave clarity on another show, that it's because the sponsor, now we know that he's 50-50 with them. They're kind of dictating on what they want to show. Now, football is, America's sport. Football is something that people are watching. And so we want to prioritize football now kind of over the basketball show. And this is what I gathered from it, right? And this is some of kind of what's said. And so now I sit there and think, the reason he got a following is because of the basketball concept. The reason why, got to 1 million followers is because of the basketball concept. And so I started to look at the views. And so like the football show, I see, like 23,000 views, maybe like I think 90,000 was like the most that I saw. But now I looked at the basketball portion of the show, like even like now, I see 300,000, 500,000, 400,000, views. And from my understanding, YouTube, you get paid off the watch time, watch hours, and views and things like that. And there's some other factors as well, and other ways you get paid. But I'm thinking like, why is it they would shift I understand football, but knowing that this is how he got his following, why would you guys change and switch, the show up like that and then only put them on for 3 days? I mean, 2 days. It just didn't make sense to me. And so now finally I get an understanding, and, now I see why, people kind of like, Anton Daniels, and that's why he was on the show, because Anton built his stuff from the ground up. He learned and did all the stuff necessary so he could have his own platform and so he could get 100% of the profits. And so when you and he kind of asked him too there at the end, like, did you foresee like this getting that big? Is that why, like you did that, because did you see it getting that big? And I mean, you never know, what might happen. You don't know if things will be successful, or if things won't be successful, if they will or won't be. And but like for us, this is like a wake up call, I guess, for lack of better words, that we don't know where this might go, but we see the downside of dealing with potential sponsors because are making potential deals, because it could push us out and change the dynamic of the way that we had a vision to see the show or have the show to be. And so that's why I kind of wanted to play it, because of that reason, because I thought it was interesting. And like I said, shout out to Gil, because like I said, I watch his show even now on the Tuesday and Thursdays, Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. I really don't watch it. I watch it every now and then, but it's not, entertaining to me. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you think about the whole dynamic of it, because I want to share.
Yeah, man, no doubt. Shout out to Gills, man, and Anton, and the other in the clip. Everybody's sharing what they've done and what they're doing, and just being transparent in that moment to kind of share with everyone, because who you are is what people will tune in for. What you've done, is what people will hang around for. And eventually, for what you'll be able to, keep in the future is an accumulation of all of those things. So, if you don't have the best intentions for your future, then yeah, go ahead and do the deal. Go ahead and do the sponsorships deal. If you feel like you're needing something for today, then yeah, go ahead and do the sponsorship deal. But if you have the time and you have the patience to kind of learn, in some areas that you may not think that you have needed to learn or wanted to learn, then yeah, just take the time to learn those things that you need to learn. If you see somebody else doing it, hey, reach out to them and say, hey, can I, ask you a couple of questions, or what do I need to do to learn from you, And that's what you call mentorship. A lot of people want a sponsorship, but they don't want a mentorship. And those two things are similar, but they're different. So if you're looking at a situation and you have an ideal, you may need mentorship, but sponsorship will get you there right now, because they can just pay people to do it, or pay people to know the information that you don't know today, and you guys just go with the flow. You be you, don't think about anything else, and then we'll take care of everything else. And it's dangerous because you give up a lot of your equity. You give up a lot of your energy in terms of who you are and what you bring to the table, and someone else gets to eat off of that. What you've done, who you are, who you're going to be. Money has a funny way of taking that away, because it's like, okay, now I'm in bed with this person. This is the contract, so it's much bigger than I thought it was. And it's the same thing with contracts with rappers. We've known that for years. A lot of people getting in deals that, what they call 360, and it's like not good for the long term. Yeah, you get everything that you need in the short term, but for the long term, what you're looking to be around as long as you can, then yeah, you will want to look at things from a perspective of, hey, if this works, if this blows up, then if I do it this way, I could be giving up a lot. So 9 times out of 10, most of the time, people don't be thinking that way, because they're just coming to the table with an ideal. And if you have enough of a following, if you have enough of a celebrity in terms of people know who you are, you're relatable, that can take you a long way quick. But in the long term, you'll lose a lot quick as well. And people don't understand what that means. So it's definitely a good story, I think, for a lot of people that's coming up, in the content creation space. We see the younger crowd, the Kais and the Speeds, are doing it at a high level, but they have a lot of backing behind them. They might have started off small and doing it, by themselves, but when you get a conglomerate behind you, then yeah, you get a lot more eyeballs on you. So if people understood what marketing was, if people understood content, the internet is all about, it's about eyeballs. How many of them can you get? How long can you keep them? And can you keep them coming back? And look at me talking like I'm an expert. We got one comment today. But I can tell you this, we've been consistent, we'll continue to be consistent.
That's one more than
eventually
last week.
Through that process, and so on. So I gonna
You breaking up, man, pretty bad, so we didn't hear a lot of what you said. Like at the last part, I heard we got one comment this week, but and then after that, I kind of phased out.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
we got one comment that's this week, but that one comment can turn into 2, turn into 3. You continue to build your consistency, and your levels and your learning, and then that's what builds up the pot. That builds up the money. So necessarily you want it, we want it today, but it'll be It's always greater later, they say. So taking the deal up front, can work for a lot of ways and a lot of people, but ultimately it could be, a equity killer because your show, like Anton said, did you think you were going to be as big as you were? Because 9 times out of 10, if you have an idea, you don't know if it's going to work or not going to work. You
Right.
just want to make sure that it's done correctly, because you don't want to go through the uncomfortable stages of learning and figuring it out and, putting it together and, not getting any shows or not getting any views per se, so stuff like that.
And then I would say, man, sometimes the company does see like the end goal too, and sometimes they see the value in it. That's why they chose to invest in him. I'm guessing, but I'm probably right. They knew based on what he said it was going to be big, and sometimes you have to take a step back and say, okay, if you do pitch something to somebody and they, like one of these companies, and they willing to throw a bag at you like that, like sometimes you have to look back. Okay, like let me think about this more. Like can I learn how to do this? And I get it with Gil. Gil, he has money and he wants to he doesn't want to have to do some of the camera work, but you could get contractors and other things like that to set up cameras and all that stuff for you, for a one time fee, and like make it easy where you're not, giving 50% of what you have. And a lot of the stuff, I know we're not we don't have the most professional thing. We don't have all the bells and whistles. Some of the stuff I had to learn how to do on my own. You know what I'm saying? Well, let me say, we had to learn how to do it on our own, to get what we have, some of the things that we have here now. And, in the long run, one is a skill that you develop and you can that you develop and you can have, and you don't know what or when that skill, can make room for you or make money for you, or, be, you can put it to use. So, I mean, like I said, shout out to Gil, man. Um, and everybody out there, man. Like this is, one of those things. Like, you know, hopefully we can learn from this. From, I don't want to say necessarily a mistake, but we can learn from this, and then if it comes to us, that option or that choices in front of us, then we could decide, okay, we could weigh our options and see what worked for us. Maybe the deal was a good deal. Maybe it's something you could, hey, I need that money right now. I could sell it and get out of it. But then also look like, hey, I believe in myself. I believe that I could grow this thing. It may take time. It may take consistency. It is what it is. Real quick, man. Shout out to Mr. Streets. I wanted to put you up here, man. Shout out to you. What's good, bro? Chiming in on your live. Shout out to you, my brother. I appreciate you. We thank you for the comment, and we appreciate you for your support, man. Shout out to you. Last thing, I'm gonna switch. Go ahead, Cuzzo. You said something, Cuzzo?
Yeah, man, I'm going to a bad area, real bad connection over here. I hate this area.
Oh, okay.
Every time I drive over here, it's the same thing.
All around the world, same song. Um, Man, I wanted to play that video. Um, Let me see. Let me see if we can hear it on here. Through my headphones. Was it Instagram? Instagram. Chico. Thank you guys for your patience as I, you know, look through these things. Um, No, it's not Chico. That's the other dude. I can't remember his name. But I'm getting close to it, and it's up here somewhere. All right.
There's certain parts of the happiness you're gonna have to give up to make sure the family good. That's part of our journey as men. And you start to realize that, okay, that feeling, that emptiness, that hurt that I had, that's nothing, because I know that I can deal with it. I can take that pain. If that means my son gonna be straight, or my daughter gonna be happy, or my wife good, I'll take that for them. And a lot of men don't get to that point as fast as I guess the world wants us to. Do you feel like that's gonna have an effect on you, where it's like you're the only person in the household that's suffering, that's not getting outlet, or somebody to lean on? Hey man, that's why your dad crap when you get grown and you tell them.
All right, I'm gonna replay it. Let me see.
The certain parts of the happiness you're gonna have to give up to make sure the family good. That's part of our journey as men. And you start to realize that, okay, that feeling, that emptiness, that hurt that I had, that's nothing, because I know that I can deal with it. I can take that pain. If that means my son gonna be straight, or my daughter gonna be happy, or my wife good, I'll take that for them. And a lot of men don't get to that point as fast as I guess the world wants us to. Do you feel like that's gonna have an effect on you, where it's like you're the only person in the household that's suffering, that's not getting outlet, or somebody to lean on? Hey man, that's why your dad crap when you get grown and you tell him you love him. That's why granddaddy sit there and he don't know what to say when you say, "Love you, Papa." He just he been holding that. He didn't know that moment was.
Man, you still there, Cuzzo?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Were you able to hear that?
Yeah, I heard some of it.
Okay. Man. So knowing that you as a man, maybe some times where you're the only one in the house not happy, but you need to take care of your family. And like, what do you think about that whole scenario, man? And
Yeah, I could say it comes with the territory. You know, for a lot of men, you know, that's a part of being a man. The role that you play. You're the one that's physically strong, you know, mentally strong. And you're expected to be, you know, you're expected to uphold the house, the foundation. And unfortunately, sometimes, you know, for men, because they don't either have an outlet or they don't have a support system as they used to, like they should before, you know, a lot of times they go through life, you know, this way. And these days, a lot of words are being used, like mental health, happiness, you know, and those words were not, you know, words really associated with men, you know, back in the day. Usually, when you hear words, it's like courageous, tough, you know, hard to kill, you know, those types of hardened words, you know, brave. You know, so when you're using words like happiness, you're using words like mental health, you know, that's a new area these days, you know, that we're taking a look at that definitely needs looking at, because when we don't look at things in that light, then it tends to get neglected. You know, when I say neglected, you know, you really don't take the time to check in and check on individuals, you know, that take on a lot. You know, these can be, you know, the hardest men in the world doing the hardest jobs. And all they're doing is doing what they need to do, doing what they are designed to do. And they are not getting, you know, that support like they used to, from the opposite sex, from society. You know, now it's just all about money, 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 money. So if it's about just money, 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 if the man is not doing anything or working, then he has no use. You know, a lot of times I hear this language as well, which is totally not true. Because men are needed in the communities. You know, a lot. What I'm seeing a lot these days is more and more women, you know, by themselves or don't have the significant other. The grandpa is there a lot of times, and you know, for these many reasons, we don't know what could have transpired for that not to be more, you know, of commonplace today. But I can kind of see too where in certain areas and certain demographics, you know, it's kind of changing and becoming better. So when we talk about, you know, men's happiness, a lot of times they put the onus on things around them, like their family, their kids, you know, their significant other. As long as they're happy, I'm happy. And I think we got to go deeper in that. I think we have to go deeper in terms of how we start to look at those things and take more accountability and responsibility for that. You know, it's not just about those things, but it's about your personal health, mentally, physically, spiritually, and really getting down to what that really means to you and understand what it is. Not just give it lip service, not just talk about what's the popular topic, but actually, you know, understanding where that comes from. And a lot of people are taboo to talk about those things because it is such a touchy subject and it does get into, you know, traumatic situations, or it could get into ego-based conversation. And we have to learn and be careful when we have these conversations, because it can just it can get dismissed, you know, real easily. Because as I said before, if you don't have a baseline and a foundation on how we can have these conversations, then a lot of things get brushed over and then tucked under the rug, because we've seen, you know, from our fathers, our granddads, our great grandfathers, if we knew them, that this is, you know, how men live. This is how men raised their families, communities. And it wasn't about your happiness. It was about, you know, you doing a job or getting a job done. You taking care of the family. You protecting the family. And therein lie your reward. You becoming successful or being successful at doing that. So it just depends on how you know, grade what happiness is. And like I said, it's going to be different for every individual, you know, based on how much personal work they've done on themselves, how much inner work they've done on themselves. Introspectively speaking, you have to see for yourself, you know, every day what you should be doing to be most effective at who you are, you know, and what you're doing it for, and you know who benefits from that. And it's not just your job, you know, but it's your family, the people that's closest to you. And that's all I have to say about that.
Good stuff. Um, I think as a man, um, he has an inherent obligation to take care of the family. When offspring come into play, like a man knows, well, most men, I should say, know, and I'm speaking in all generalities, uh, know that what they need to do. They need to make sure they provide, protect, and there's some other things in there too, but those are two of the main ones. Um, and I mean, you kind of said it all, you know. Um, but a man's in my mind, you know, sometimes actually in reality, there's some instances where I haven't been very happy. You know, where you know me and my significant other at the time, or you know, my significant other, you know, later down the line, you know, have gotten into it. But you know, the family, the kids, they weren't asked to be here, and not just because of that reason, but because they are mine, and I care for them. My job is to make sure that they're provided for and that I make sure that they aren't at any harm, and that's physically, mentally, you know, um, as well. And so, I mean, that question, man, like, yeah, it's fact. Like the men sacrifice their happiness because of family all the time. It's happened all the time, and you kind of brought it up. It's happened in history, you know. The men, they get up, they work. They sometimes they work two jobs, and they hand over their paycheck, and that's a man's way of showing that he loves and cares for his family. Excuse me. And some people look at that like, sometimes you hear like from the opposite sex, oh, you don't tell me this, you don't love me, or you don't tell me this, or oh, you don't show no emotion. Like, man, I keep saying like I'm working on stop saying that. It is sometimes difficult to show certain emotions, and that shouldn't be the case because as a man, as a man that looks like us, sometimes we feel like the world is against us, and then we come home. Sometimes it's not all the time, and we're expected to, be cared for, to, you know, not be nagged at. And this doesn't happen all the time. Just, sometimes it happens. Just to make sure nobody come for me, you know. Uh, and we get the opposite. And so that affects our happiness. But guess what? That doesn't stop us from doing what we need to do to make sure the family is provided for, to make sure the family is protected. If we're doing we'll be out there doing whatever we need to do, to make sure we're able to provide, whatever that looks like. You know, if somebody, threatens or somebody's life is at stake, guess what? We stepping in to do what we need to do to make sure, you know, that doesn't happen, that we protect our family. And so it happens 100%. A lot of the times, there's some, people on the other side that, doesn't do what they need to do. They step out and they leave. It happens on both male and female. But in general, yeah, men suffer. Happiness suffers sometimes, and it is what it is. But it's not okay, because I think you bring up a good point that we need to, find ways to be able to address that. Um, find ways to be able to talk to people. But I, my dad was not a real talker. He was a man of few words. But you knew, I knew that he cared about me because of how he got up every day and went to work, and because when I was hungry, he made sure he fed me. When I needed clothes, he made sure we had money to provide for clothes. And then sometimes it got tough. Sometimes it got hard, and we weren't able to, to go out to Gong Ho's, which is a Chinese food place, which probably why I love Chinese food so much to this day. But we weren't able to go there all the time. Sometimes we had to have salmon croquettes. Couldn't stand them shits now. But but that's what it was. Like, he made sure that, hey, we were good. So um I don't know. We don't talk about a lot of outlets that men have, you know, um to find a place to release some of those things. I mean, I do have, I do have friends that I could talk to, you know, like even like I hop on Xbox sometimes, what I'm saying, and play a little NBA 2K. That like helps release you, get out your frustration. Working out, those are different things, different things we could do, to help release that stress and that tension. You know, and then we need to work on. We talked about this last time. We need to work on finding what truly makes us happy in life. Like, what is it? Like, yeah, our family being taken care of makes us happy, but what truly uh, gives us that sense of joy and happiness? But anyway, I'm gonna shut up now. Cuzzo, we're gonna go ahead and close it out. Um, you have any closing remarks?
Yeah, man, this was a long one tonight, but appreciate you as always for taking the time, man, and putting and
I'm looking at the timer, 151.
yeah, we almost went into triple, double, quadruple overtime. But
Yeah.
it's so good, man. It was things that we definitely wanted to talk about, and hopefully the people out there enjoy the conversation and uh, put their part on it. Get in the comments, and share whatever your thoughts are about what we talked about, whether you agree or disagree. Let me know what your perspective is and what the facts are. And that's why we do this, to have these communal conversations so we can learn how to communicate on a regular basis with one another and come together and talk about those things that we need to talk about in spaces and places that everyone feels safe and heard, and that they can say whatever they feel like they need to say, and not feel the need to correct or demean, but connect and say, hey, that sounds good, or I didn't know that, that sounds like something I need to look more into. Just connecting the dots, a lot more than what people do today. So I just want to say, man, salute you, because I appreciate you, and hope you enjoy your weekend. And yeah, on to the next.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Cuzzo. Yeah, man, we've had some comments, recently, more comments than usual. Some people, shout out to you guys for, you know, dropping in the comments. I try to make sure that we respond to them, you know, as soon as possible. And again, it's a process because it's new, and sometimes I delayed on seeing them pop up. But thank you for the comments. We got somebody that says they want to see the Epstein files. Man, I get it. You know, I get it. A lot of people want to see the Epstein files. My thing is, and I'll just say this: like, people talk about Trump is in there, so that's why they don't want to show him. Well, they were coming after Trump, last year. Why didn't Biden release the Epstein file? I don't know. That's just a question we could put out there. Let me know inside of the comments why he didn't release him, why they didn't pursue releasing him. I don't know, but I don't want to go too deep into that
They
topic.
do release the files, it's gonna be blacked out on every line. So it's just gonna be like, all right, here's the files, and black marker written through every name
Right, right.
there.
Are they going to have somebody write on the crayon Epstein files, and here you go.
There you go. Here you go.
It's a invisible marker. Invisible marker.
Yeah, because you
But,
usually do a FOI, which is a Freedom of Information Act.
Information Act for you.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think after what, 20 years, you can get files like that. But most of the stuff is gonna have black marker to it. You're not gonna be able to see what's right there.
Right. Because now we public record, huh? But yeah, it is what it is, man. But anyway, I know that can start a whole nother conversation. Man, we at the 155 mark, man. I just want to say, like I already said it, I appreciate you guys. Those who watch our streets, man, appreciate you again for hopping on. Those who put comments on our other videos, we appreciate you as well. Those other people who are watching, hey man, like, come by and holler at us for a while, man. We don't claim to know everything, but the goal is to my goal is to be objective, and things. And where I'm wrong, I can admit that I'm wrong, but we want to learn together and move in a direction that's right and fair together. That's just my opinion. But anyway, y'all, enjoy your weekend. It's Halloween day. Be safe out there, man. Check out kids' candy and be safe. We appreciate y'all. This is episode 45 of the What's Up Cuzzo podcast. We signing out. Peace.